Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch, episode 285.
I'm Rachel.
And I'm Joe.
And we are two
crazy
crazy ketos.
And if you're new to our channel, welcome.
Yes, welcome. If you're new here, please say hi down below.
Now here on Two Crazy Ketos, we do different things like recipe videos and we do product reviews. We talk about various keto topics, and every Monday we go live on Keto Beyond the Couch because life exists beyond the couch.
You can find us in different social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X.
And we have a website, which is twocrazyketos.com, and that's where you're going to find all of our different recipes. Now, we do upload at least 5 new videos every single week, so make sure you subscribe to our channel.
And don't forget to hit the little bell icon, and that way every single time we upload a new video, you'll be alerted to it.
Adjust the contrast a little bit and hit the record button in case we have a problem with the stream.
We won't, though. Things are going to go great today. It's going to be an awesome week.
Welcome to Keto Beyond the Couch. If you are new here, this is something that we do every Monday at 10 a.m. We do it live as much as possible. Just a heads up, next Monday will not be live because we'll be in Alaska.
Wow, what a difference it will be, that weather from this weather. We are where it is hot and sticky and like everything is humid.
Yesterday it was over 100 degrees and we got over a foot of rain in the last few days. So it's been muggy. We could not get the air in the RV lower than like 80. I mean, it was just pumping and pumping and pumping.
Full blast.
Shout out to Big Beard Batteries though, because we don't have an RV plug here at the house up here in Arcadia. So I'm only pulling 10 amps out of the house. And so we're using our Victron system and our Big Beard batteries basically to run everything. And the cool thing about my system is I need at least 30 amps to run my ACs, but I can only pull 10 out of the house to be safe. So my system will actually give it the extra stuff that it needs. So our batteries drop down to about 75% during the day. And then at night, they top themselves off because I also have 1,200 watts of solar on the roof.
The RV is making it possible for us to be here.
Shout out to Alliance.
Seriously, like I am so thankful for it. We talk about like, what is a good reason for an RV? It is the guest house. It is what we're living in.
Explore the country.
Explore the country. Like there's just so many things. It's a traveling hotel room. I mean, it's just been amazing. And I've been enjoying learning more about RVs. Right now, I am in the midst of the NRVTA online course.
Mm-hmm.
And
you're learning how to repair RVs.
I love the fact that
now you need to learn how to drive an RV.
Todd from Big Beard Battery is a great teacher, and he really breaks down information. And it's so funny because one of the things he was talking about is troubleshooting purple monkeys. The purple monkeys are these things that spring up and they're solvable, but you're just trying to wrap your mind around them. And I'm thinking, as we're renovating this house, there's purple monkeys springing up all over the place.
Most problems in RVs are simple fixes. I mean, if you're at all handy, you can fix pretty much anything in an RV. It's a pretty simple system. But speaking of the NRVTA, if you're interested, if you have an RV or if you want to learn how to work on RVs, they have an at-home study course. And right now we have a link that will give you 40% off the course. So I left that down below in the description.
That's crazy.
So anyway, if you are new here, the way we do this is we're going to go through Keto Beyond the Couch, which is where we answer questions and comments that people have left on our social media from the last week. And we also celebrate subscribers and talk about wins and things like that. So we're going to go through our normal thing, and then we address the chat the last 10 or 15 minutes of the stream. So if you have a question, if you want us to mention something, like maybe a birthday or something like that,
yes,
wait till the last 10 or 15 minutes, because especially with our setup here in the RV,
we can't see.
I cannot see the chat and also see what we're going to put up for the questions. So hold off to the end or use the super chat function, because I do have a separate screen over here that will notify me of super chats. The super chat function is the little $ down in the chat window. That does support the channel, which we greatly appreciate. This is our full-time job. But more importantly, what it does is it highlights our screen. Speaking of our part-time job, our full-time job, if you're interested in Starlink, I got a deal for you. So we use Starlink at home and here on the road. And where we're moving to here in Arcadia, there is no high-speed internet. We don't have gigabit service like we do back in Fort Lauderdale. So we're going to be heavily relying on Starlink as well as our Verizon tower for a backup. And Starlink, we've got a special link from Starlink right now. If you use the link down below to get your Starlink to sign up for everything, you get a free month.
That's
You
amazing.
get a free month, and then you support us because that gives us a free month of service. And a free month of service, depending on what kind of service you get, is $120 to $150. And depending on where you live, you can get the Starlink set up at a discount. Like we were able to get our one for up here for $299. The one at home, I paid $599 for it.
Huge difference, and it really makes a difference. We've camped all over the place, and there's some places that you just cannot get any service, and we've used our Starlink and been able to get service. I can remember when we were in the Everglades and we were actually on like the Miccosukee reservation, and the tribe themselves actually block service, so you can't even get any
cell service.
So with the Starlink, it was possible for us to still get it.
The other link we're going to have, we'll be posting in Mighty Networks later on this week. I'm waiting for my final link to come through. If you're interested in getting a Tesla, we have a Tesla. We got a link that'll give you $1,000 off the price that you pay for the Tesla. $1,000. That's a lot of money.
We are looking everywhere we can as we're renovating this house for just deals.
$1,000 is almost a year of full self-driving.
We literally changed the rock delivery that we was going to have today because we were able to find a cheaper place to buy rock from and make that deal. So we're all about saving money. We know how hard it is to like pay for everything in our life. So anytime you can get a coupon or a deal, like we want to pass that on.
Lori wants to know, what is the monthly cost for Starlink? It depends on the service you get. So they have a home service, a priority home service where you get even faster. And they also have an RV service. The basic home service, which is pretty fast, depending on where you are, like we get upwards of 350 megabits per second download speed, is $120. And then for $30 more, you can add priority, where you get priority over all of your neighbors and everybody else that's connecting to it.
Cut the line.
For, I think you get an extra 50 gigabits of that, and that's an extra $30. And then the mobile, where you can use it wherever you want to go, is $150.
Whoever thought that we'd get to a place in our lives where we need to buy a fast pass?
Somebody actually put a thing up. They were even doing a deal like $199 at Costco.
Dang.
So pretty cool. Okay, before we get into Keto Beyond the Couch, I was gonna only do this for our paid channel supporters to give them a heads up. But we decided, since we're on the road and we're doing all of this stuff up here and we're working really hard, so we're really kind of delirious. I'm gonna give you a heads up. Wednesday, we have an amazing recipe video coming out. Banana nut bread or muffins. Like mini muffins. This has got to be, I think, one of the best dessert recipes we've ever done.
It's crazy delicious.
It is amazing. And I really want to eat these right now. But we're started this morning a 3-day food challenge.
Crazy.
To go along with our construction.
Yes.
And so there's only one item that we can eat. I'm not going to tell you what it is because you have to wait for the vlog. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and you hit the bell notification so you know when that comes out.
It's not sardines, though. We can tell them that.
Sardines. But these banana nut muffins do need a special ingredient. You need to get banana emulsion.
Yeah.
So I left the link for it down below. If you want to make the recipe as soon as it comes out or by the end of the week, you definitely want to order this. If you order it today, you'll probably get it by Wednesday or Thursday on Amazon. And it's not super expensive. It's like $10 for this big bottle. If you've made our banana pudding, our keto chub banana pudding, you probably already have it. But I did want to just let you know, get yourself some banana emulsion so that you can make Wednesday's recipe video.
Winter is coming.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, let's jump right into Keto Beyond the Couch. And first one is from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
This is a Keto College Adjunct Professor of the Week. He said, did you know hunger is the first element of self-discipline? If you can control what you eat and drink, you can control everything else.
Wow.
And he said, just think about it. You can control your body to eat all of the right things. You can control your mind to better handle stress. Thanks to the Meatheads group on how to better handle stress. Control your body to move more.
That is a really important point to remember. And I can remember, when we were kids, our parents, when we would come and complain about, like, I want to eat every 15 minutes, especially during like summertime, my mom would say, no, We're not doing that right now. We're in the middle of an activity. We're going to stop. Remember when they used to say we're not snacking because it'll ruin your appetite for dinner? Like, disciplining yourself in the area of food really is some of the first lessons we even get as a child. We just, when we're adults, sometimes like forget it, abandon that, but that can really help. And then when you are eating the proper human diet, that helps to control some of the noise and really powers your decision making.
It's funny you say snacking would ruin your appetite, and then you had the horrible advice from places like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, and pretty much every diet thing that
Eat
was
5 or 7
eat 5 to
times.
6 meals a day because you don't want to screw up your metabolism. You're not going to lose weight doing that
Yeah.
because every time you eat, you have an insulin reaction, and you cannot lose weight in the presence of insulin. Yes, you need insulin, but you only want to have an insulin reaction a couple times a day. Throughout the day, if you're constantly giving yourself a bunch of insulin, you won't lose weight.
No, you won't.
It makes no sense. I want to try a feature that I found, and so I'm going to answer this question. Does it show up on here? No, it doesn't. It just makes it so that I can see it bigger. Coco wants to know, is butter the one item? No, butter is not the one
How
item.
creative though, Coco. Good guess.
Okay, next one we have is from Jamie.
Hey,
Put up this little
Jamie.
meme and said, a bird sitting on a tree is never afraid of the branch breaking because her trust is not on the branch, but on its own wings. Always believe in yourself.
Oh, Jamie, I am going to remember that. Like one thing that I've always really loved is little birds, like, you know, sparrows, things like that. That is so cute. And it's good to remember as we are doing this renovation, I am learning I'm stronger than I think I am.
You are.
It's really been incredible. Yesterday, I did have to take a Sabbath day and just kind of rest up after.
You didn't want to. I kind of forced it on you.
You sort of forced it on me, but after 5 straight days of just like really intense labor where we were lifting really heavy things, tearing down stuff, and walking more than 26,000 steps a day, like I really was exhausted and in the heat as well. It's been really hard. But I am really rejoicing at the fact that I am no weakling. Like we have been working really hard to better our health. And I've been able to successfully take myself out of that box of like, I can't do stuff because I'm sick all the time. I get fatigued and overwhelmed really easily, to somebody who could go 5 days straight of just like all out work.
Put it this way, I've been eating like over 5,000 calories a day, and my clothes are still getting looser and looser.
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
We're just working really, really hard. Okay, first comment we have is from Tammy.
Hey, Tammy, I've been really discouraged lately. I just haven't been able to stay on track, and my body feels it and shows it. Most of the time, I do pretty good with food choices, but food addiction seems to find me. I'm giving myself some grace now as I lost my mom just a couple of months ago. I'm so sorry, Tammy. Plus, I'm menopausal and just feel heavy, if that makes sense. This last weekend, I let the emotions win and made really bad food choices, but today is a new day. I had ground beef with mustard for lunch and picked a new meat cut that my husband cooked in the air fryer for us and our 2 grandkids. After dinner, we took them for a walk to the neighborhood park and ran around chasing them playing tag. Then we all did a taste test of Keto Chow fruity cereal ice cream, which was a hit all around. Wow, Tammy, I'm really thankful that you are extending grace to yourself and like, you know, just getting right back, you know, on the horse, so to speak. And I think that that's really, really a wise thing to do. The best thing that we can do when we're sick, when we're grieving, when we're having a hard time is honestly to stay on track and keep your food choices very simple. You know, it's hard. We've been through that grieving process after losing parents ourselves, and that's really, really a hard thing to walk through. And feeling bad because of what we're eating just adds another level of hurt and pain to an already hard and difficult time. And we've learned as we've been on this property, we are starting to be able to find ways to honor our parents based on like what we've seen here, right?
Yeah, we found things like her grandmother's favorite plant or bush, which is gardenia, my mom's, which is roses, and yesterday I found a key lime tree, which was my dad's favorite thing.
Yeah.
So, okay, Ola, thank you so much for the $100 super chat.
Oh my gracious.
And now I did see a comment from Ola
Oh my
said that I
goodness.
had little control over food over the last few weeks. It was so stressful, but it's now over. Ola, first of all, I'm so proud of you.
Amazing.
What you've done is amazing.
Yes.
And I know you talked about in Mighty Networks that you went off plan a little bit. But when you think about the amount of hiking and mountain climbing that you were doing, I'm pretty sure you burned off those excess carbs.
What an amazing
but
journey.
it's like awe-inspiring, and also I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, I mean, just incredible.
Like, one of my goals has always been to hike the Appalachian Trail, like the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, just the places that you've gotten to see, and I'm so glad that like your family was able to come along and your mom with you for this journey. Just amazing. I'm just so stinking proud of you. Thank you so much. What a blessing.
Okay, next one we have is from Tim.
Hey, Tim.
He said, so today is day 14 of month 2 in my refocusing carnivore project. I weighed in at 470 pounds. I've lost 8 pounds since my last weigh-in. That's a total of 34 pounds in 6 weeks.
That is amazing, Tim. I'm so proud of you for like stepping back in, getting it going. And I mean, you have an amazing talent for cooking. So it's always so nice to like see what you're eating and see how you're presenting it. And congratulations on amazing victory already.
Next one's from Becca.
Hey, Becca.
Can someone talk to me about powdered apple cider vinegar? I've seen a reference to it in recipes. I'm drinking apple cider vinegar and water for digestion and GERD. Works much better than the meds my doctor put me on. And I was wondering if I can use a powdered version too for traveling. Okay, so here's the thing, Becca. Yes, there is powdered apple cider vinegar. I really would not use it unless you absolutely had to, because understand apple cider vinegar is a liquid.
And alive.
In order to turn it into a powder, they're going to have to bind it to something. And most of the time, that's going to be something like maltodextrin. So I personally would stick with using a liquid. Also, you want the mother in it. If you absolutely need something, if you really want to take something on the road, I would probably do like apple cider vinegar capsules. I think they bind it a little bit differently than just using a scoopable powder. But all those scoopable powders are going to have some kind of a filler or a binder in it. And I personally would avoid that. It's the same thing with things like butter powder. I see a lot of people talk about butter powder. Butter powder is good for certain applications. If you're on the road, if I go on a cruise and I want to be able to make keto chow with butter, I would bring butter powder. We store butter powder as a survival kind of thing. So if we have a hurricane, we would still have butter even if we didn't have electricity. Same thing with heavy cream powder or powdered heavy cream. Actually, it's called sweet cream powder. But all of that stuff has a lot of carbs. You're going to look at the label of butter powder and it's going to say it doesn't have carbs, but it does. It actually has more carbs than heavy cream. You kind of have to know about the rounding situation. Keto Chow actually has a post about this. But basically, when it breaks it down, if you go calorie for calorie, so compare 100 calories of butter powder to 100 calories of regular butter, the amount of carbs is insane. It literally comes out to be more carbs than regular heavy whipping cream. And regular heavy whipping cream, regardless of what that label says, does have carbs in it. It has 0.413 carbs per tablespoon, and that's the minimum. And they may even add more emulsifiers and fillers to make it worse. Next one we have is from Mel.
Hey, Mel. Okay, I've got a rump roast, top sirloin roast, finishing its thaw in the refrigerator to cook for dinner tonight. I want to roast it till it's tender and not chewy like the last time I cooked one. How do I do this and not overcook it? It's a pretty big roast. I'd say 5 to 6 pounds.
Okay, so if you want to cook a roast and you want to make it like fall apart tender,
I do.
You're going to need to cook it. It depends on the roast. You're saying a sirloin roast, a top sirloin roast. A top sirloin roast should not be chewy anyway. It's a pretty tender cut of meat. But for the most part, let's say you have something like, I'm trying to think, a chuck roast or like a brisket roast, those fattier, those tougher cuts of meat. You want to cook it low and slow, even in your oven, 250 to 300 degrees. Go to an internal temperature of about 200 degrees. But if even like a sirloin roast, if you don't want it chewy, cook it at a lower temperature for a longer period of time. Get to that temperature you want. But when you try to quick cook beef, that's what's going to give it that tough, chewy taste or feeling, really, I guess is the better thing to say. Next one's from Kara.
Hey, Kara.
Said, I'm recently an empty nester. I've been low carb for years. I'm trying to track better now and lose the extra weight. I've never easily lost weight. The only real success I was with longer intermittent fasting of 36 to 44 hours, 3 times a week. But even doing that for 3 months, it never got easier, only harder. I've spent the last year plus eating more meat and less vegetables. I've gained almost all the weight I lost focusing back and have finally started to see a slight drop. I'm the only one in my family eating this way, and my husband thinks I'm crazy. Okay, first of all, here's the thing. If you're fasting for 36 to 44 hours, 3 times a week, number one, that is not intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting is a better term for it is time restricted eating. Time restricted eating is where you have your 24 hours in a day and you say, I'm only going to eat for this period of time. A good place to be is about 8 hours. I personally don't recommend anything less than that, especially for women, because you get people who want to do OMAD. Which, if you don't know what OMAD is, it's 1 meal a day. It is almost impossible to get all of the nutrition that you need in a single day. Just to give you an idea, a woman should not be eating less than 16 to 1700 calories. I don't care what those stupid macro calculators say. You have to look at what is your basal metabolic rate, which is what your body needs to just survive. And most people are somewhere at least 15 or 1600 calories. So if you need 15 to 1600 calories to never get out of bed, just for your body to not die, why would you eat less than that? Because you need to be able to have enough fuel to move throughout the day, go to the bathroom, go to work, walk around your house. So what happens is when we eat lower than our basal metabolic rate, we slow our metabolism down drastically and make it harder and harder and harder to lose weight. Fasting for 36 to 44 hours a day, or 3 times a week, you're not getting the nutrition you need. And what's most likely happened is you have slowed down your metabolism and you're pretty much never going to be able to lose weight. That's why Rachel was gaining weight eating 500 calories a day. She slowed her metabolism down to the point where
A crawl.
it was going to store everything. And she was losing her hair. Her nails were breaking. She was green. You need to be eating food. If you hit a stall and you're down already in that range of 1600 calories, the only thing that you can possibly do to fix the stall and not slow your metabolism is to reverse your way out of it. It's basically like a diet break. What you're going to do is you're going to eat just a little bit more, increasing every week for a period of 8 to 12 weeks to take yourself from that 1600 calories all the way up to like 22, 23, 2400 calories. Then you stay there for a couple weeks and then you're going to come back down, but slowly. You don't want to go from 2400 calories back to 16. You'll lose weight, but end up in that same situation because your body is going to keep trying to level it out. So if you need 2400 calories to maintain weight when you're at that point, eating 2200 calories, and I don't like the term calories, but it's what everybody understands, you'll lose weight. You're not going to lose it fast, but you don't want to lose it fast. You want to lose it slow. I know we all think we want to lose it fast, and I'm going to steal something from Natalie, Bronson and Natalie, because this is a great term. And that is, people say, I want to lose weight fast, or how fast can I lose it? The better answer is, how fast do you want to gain it back?
Right.
Because if you try to lose that very quickly,
you're going to
gain it right back.
Right.
You've slowed down your metabolism.
Well, and we want our metabolism, like we're so mad at it all the time, right? We're so mean to it, but we're a team. Yeah. We're a team, and our metabolism is only reacting in the way that we're communicating to it. So if I'm constantly communicating to the metabolism, like, hey, you only get under 1000 calories or right at 1000 calories a day, that's what I need you to operate the whole body on. Our body gets the message.
Oh, Dr. Ken Berry in the house.
Hey, what's up, Dr. Berry? So yeah, it gets the message and it moves forward with that information.
I just want to say thank you very much, Dr. Berry. We're learning how to raise sheep from you because we're taking an example from you.
OB Farms.
6 acres, calling it the Double K Farms, and as soon as we're done with our renovation, we're going to be raising sheep on our
Yes.
6 acres.
So we're studying. I mean, he has helped our entire journey, right? Not
Absolutely.
just
From
what
our
we
health
eat.
to what we eat to now raising sheep.
Yes.
Go watch the OB Farms channel.
It's so good.
Next one is from Sean.
Hey, Sean.
Said another reason to not dwell on the past. Of all the demons, the one that holds most people back are what could have been and was not. Leave your past to the mercy of God, live in the present, and control what you can.
Yeah, a lot of times we spend the present being guilty about the past. That does nothing. Like there's nothing that you can do with guilt or shame. It's not something that you can build upon, right? That is not a good foundation for your day. Let it go and do what you can do in this 24 hours. You got 24 hours. You can eat the right thing. You can decide to move your body. You can decide to reach out and communicate with the people that you love. You can do good in this day. There's nothing that you can do with yesterday, but you can do something with today.
Next one is from Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Does anyone know here do PSMF days? I'm wanting to try 1 to 2 days a week. I hit a 2-month stall, so I lowered my fat for 2 weeks. This broke my stall, so I think I should give PSMF a try. Okay. My personal opinion, I think you're going about it at the wrong way for the same reason we just talked about. What happens is your body wants to live in homeostasis, which means your body, if you're eating 2,000 calories, your body's going to try to operate at that 2,000 calories. If it only needs 1,800, what we'll try to do is burn off that excess calorie before storing it by causing you to do things like pace, fidget, give you a motivation to exercise. Now, we can ignore those things.
Don't ignore it.
If we ignore those signals to do some movement, our body will store it, but it will try to do that. If you do it slowly, your body will speed up the metabolism to match that and basically be able to burn more energy. Yeah, on the other side, if we need 1,800, but we're only consuming 1,400, our body will slow down our metabolism to match that because, again, it doesn't want to have to store things. So it's going to slow down our metabolism, which is what the stall is. So when you're trying to lose weight, you're eating less than what you need. So your body burns off the fat, but then it eventually will slow down the metabolism. Usually takes 2 or 3 weeks. It slows down the metabolism to match what you're consuming. It doesn't want to tap into those fat stores. So then we lower it more. Then we get to the point where we really can't lower it anymore because our metabolism is slowed down too much. That's where we have to do the reverse out. In my opinion, reducing the fat is not the answer, because if you're not consuming carbohydrates, the fat is what your body is using for fuel. You need to consume fat. My personal opinion, with all of the studying I've done and talking to a lot of experts and everything that we learned going through our certified master health coaching courses, is in this eating lifestyle, 50% of your calories should be coming from fat because that is your fuel source. You want to be eating just a little bit less fat than your body needs. So if your body needs 100 grams of fat, you don't want to drop it to 50 because that's where you end up in these problems with a slow metabolism. You want to drop it to like 95. You only need to reduce it a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you're in that stall, you've probably gotten too low. The only way out is reversing it or building more muscle, not cardio. Cardio will not help you lose weight. You have to build muscle.
It's interesting when you're talking about that because when you talk about a stall in our lives, a stall has to do with cooking our brisket, right? Meat hits a stall and you're going to have to be patient with that. You can't just be like, you know what? I'm going to turn up the fire on that and like, I'm just going to blaze through this stall, or I'm just going to quit trying to cook this meat altogether, right? You can't do either of those things. And I think that when any stall is a frustration, there's a stall when we're even trying to cook our brisket, but we've got to get patient with it. And so we can enjoy what, the benefit on the other side of that.
Oops, wrong one. Here we go. Next one's from Laura.
Hey, Laura, I was hopeful when my husband went to a new doctor on Monday, but that hope is gone. His office called this morning with a prescription for cholesterol medication and refused to lower his blood pressure medication. The thing is that my husband has that blind faith that we both grew up with, trusting doctors. So whatever they say is golden truth. His father is a retired physician who has helped him wean off the cholesterol meds about 2 years ago, and he knows it's only 1% effective. I need the words to help guide the man I love, and right now I just don't have them. He knows his past, how he felt, and what he went through to get this far. I'm seeing red. It's like his old doctor all over again. Drugs, drugs, drugs.
Okay, Laura, probably not going to like this, but there's a good chance he's not going to want to listen to you. What I would do is point him to people like Dr. Berry. You're saying that he respects doctors. Listen, doctors are humans.
Yeah.
Doctors are learners. That's how they got to where they are. It takes a lot of schooling to get there. I actually was going to medical school and quit a couple months before going because my mother was a physician and telling me, please don't become a doctor.
It's a lot.
Because she was like, medicine is changing and it's becoming more reliant on drugs. And the insurance company and the drug companies are telling you how to treat patients. I mean, I've met doctors that say that they've had insurance companies say, if you don't give that patient a statin, I'm not paying you. I mean, that's where we've gotten to. So the problem is not necessarily the doctor, it's what they've learned and what they're basically being told by the insurance companies and the drug companies. But most lay people don't know that.
No.
And so like, that's why you have people like Dr. Lenskis, who's basically said, fine, I'm not going to let the insurance company dictate how I treat patients. So I'm now a cash pay office only, which stinks for us. But that's what's going on with the insurance companies. They're dictating your health because they're also controlled by drug companies. I mean, there's hands in a lot of pockets.
Corruption.
Here. So what I would do is point him to people like Dr. Berry, Dr. Boz, Dr. Lenskis, Dr. Tony Hampton. I mean, people who can give him the information, go, but listen, and then remind him of, do you remember how you felt when you were eating this way? The problem is you have companies telling you cholesterol is the end all and be all, but that's simply not true. It's cholesterol combined with a bunch of other things. It's more about triglycerides, and high triglycerides, that's caused by eating sugar. It's not caused by eating a bunch of meat. And if cholesterol was the end all and be all, what I want to know is, why is it that most people, or the average person who lives to be over the age of 90, has extremely high cholesterol that most doctors would say you're going to die if you don't do something about it? Like, we're talking about over 300 cholesterol. That's where the average person who lives over 90 comes in, like 250, 300 and higher. And also, most people who have heart attacks have what they would consider normal cholesterol. Your body needs cholesterol. And then they're giving us statins, which not only does it only have a 1% reduction, which that's not even true. If you read the actual literature from metformin, from the different companies, not only does it have that 1% reduction, it's only studied in men. And that comes with all of the other side effects.
Yeah. Well, just to kind of add on what you're talking about, we're talking about all of these different low carb doctors, these doctors that are keto friendly in the way that they are, conducting their own practices. My advice would be, seek out one of these doctors that provides telehealth services, because you can just say, hey, we're going to schedule a call with a low carb doctor, a doctor that is keto friendly. There's lots of them out there. Check out Dr. Tro as well, because he's putting together and cultivating like a full network of doctors, and say, hey, before we invest our bodies in the medication being prescribed, let's invest some money in getting a teledoc to talk to us and get a second opinion. That doctor doesn't need to be the be all to end all. You can have a teledoc appointment and be able to communicate, and problem solve. If you've got your labs done or you need labs done, all of these things, let's leverage the fact that we can use the internet and that we could use all of these services where we can get labs done, and a doctor, even in another state, can review those labs and talk to us about how to proceed.
I just find it interesting, you look at all of your numbers. If you look at Rachel's cholesterol, most people would be like, she's so unhealthy.
Right.
But then when you look at every other number, when you look at her fasting A1C, when you look at her fasting insulin, when you look at, every single health marker she's got, she is the epitome of health with the exception of high cholesterol. If you're, in my opinion, if you're feeling better, everything else is better. Who cares about the cholesterol? Again, you're never going to have everything perfect. I mean, that's why you have something called skinny fat. You look at people who are super skinny and go, they're the epitome of health, but inside they've got all this fat around their organs, which is more dangerous than somebody who has all the outward showing fat. So that's what I would do. Point him to those doctors and then remind him of how good he felt beforehand. This one's from Joel.
Hey, Joel.
He said, what is the difference between these two pills? I've been getting cramps in the middle of the night. Which one works best? Okay, so first of all, with these two pills, and he's looking on Amazon, you have the hydration from Redmond Relight, and you have the muscle recovery one has BCAAs in it. That is more for people who are doing workouts. If you're just looking for an electrolyte capsule to help you, just use the hydration one. Two things though. Number one, don't buy it on Amazon. Buy it directly from Redmond.
Save some money.
For a couple of reasons. Number one, you support. It's a small company. Amazon takes so much money from these companies. Amazon is great to start a small business. It's great for us as consumers. But after you get your business going, any business owner will tell you Amazon is the bane of their existence.
Right.
Because they take so much money that could be going directly into that small company's pocket. They're great to first get set up because of shipping and
word of mouth,
and storage and that kind of stuff. But you'll see like more companies don't want to sell it there. And when they do sell it there, they sell it for more money than on their website because they've got to make up for the amount of money that Amazon is taking. Plus, if you go to Redmond's website, you can use the code 2krazyketos and you'll get 15% off. So even if Amazon is the same price or maybe even a little bit cheaper, when you use the 15% off coupon, two things happen. You bring the price way down and you support us, and they're very good with their shipping as well. The other thing is if you're getting nighttime cramps in your legs, most likely that's a magnesium issue. And so their electrolyte pills are pretty much just broad spectrum of sodium, mostly sodium, potassium, and magnesium. You want to do a magnesium supplement. So take a look at Keto Chow /salty magnesium capsules or drops. That's going to help you probably a lot more if you're having nighttime leg cramps, because that's the difference. If you're having leg cramps during the day when you're moving, that's going to be potassium. But at night when you're doing nothing, that's usually magnesium. Next one is from Richard. Rich, and I saw him in the chat earlier, said, hey, everyone, I was in Vegas at the Citizen Science Conference. I said to Joe that I would see if anyone would be interested in a meetup on the West Coast. I'm in Oceanside Vista area, about 30 miles north of San Diego, California. If you're interested, send me a message and I will find a place for us to meet.
I love that.
So I wanted to shout this out.
Yes.
Richard is in Mighty Networks, so head over to Mighty Networks, private message him. He also put a post in Mighty Networks, obviously. And go respond to him and let's get some meetups going in California.
Yeah, because that's a big thing. A lot of people on the West Coast say that there's just not a lot of meetups over there. So let's change that to KK family. Let's make sure that we have some
look at
coverage.
The groups that have come out. Like you have like the Ohio group that has come up.
Indiana.
You have the Indiana group and you
Florida.
have the Central Florida Keto group.
I mean, New Jersey.
We just need to get one over there on the West Coast.
We got to get on that West Coast. So y'all help us out, help Richard out. He's taking that first step of faith. You know, the first step is the hardest. So let's make sure that we rally around Richard and have a good turnout for a future meetup.
Next one is from Bonnie.
Hey, Bonnie.
After I watched 2KK on Instagram and scrolled a bit, I saw someone give this quote: worry is a misuse of imagination.
So true, Bonnie. I completely
needed
agree.
to hear that this week working on the house, because you come across something and then you worry.
One thing after another. Every single time we opened up a wall to tear it down, we're looking at it like praying at the same time, like, Lord, don't let there be something terrible behind this. But the thing is that worrying with every wall coming down, like that is not helping. Like I'm okay to give it to the Lord and say like, okay, Lord, you know, this is your house, like bless it. But me just fretting all of the time and worrying and like, oh no, all that does is take up space and time. It does not accomplish anything. It's just like what we were talking about earlier when it comes to regret and shame about the past. Does nothing, does not help you. And worrying, like what does the Bible say, doesn't get you any taller. Doesn't help you grow.
I saw Lisa said that we need an Arizona group. Well, there's a lot of people there
Yes.
in Arizona.
Donna Joe.
Speaking of Donna Joe, I saw her in the chat. Donna Joe, I got your email. I didn't want to call you. I'm going to sit down a little later today and finish sending out invoices. If you're going on the 2KK December cruise, please make sure you submit the payment, because we are going to Alaska. I have to get everything processed, and I want to make sure that we don't miss anything. But Donna Joe, I'll answer your question and stuff. And if you didn't get your invoice by the end of the day, go ahead and email me at 2kktravel@gmail.com so we can get your invoice so you can pay it off. Next one is from Anonymous. Now, this wasn't an anonymous post.
Okay.
I took the name out to protect this person because this is kind of the title of today's video. I think this person is very wrong. And the way they came across in the comment on the video was kind of, I don't know, you be the judge.
Allulose is not a sweetener, but an actual sugar. The difference in sugars are allulose is not processed by our bodies the same as sugar. Many people claim allulose as a sweetener. Research. Also, to address net versus carb, net was more sustainable for me, kept my blood sugar more stable. T1, I lost better and have maintained my goal weight over the years. So please, is not a one size fits all, assuming that could be the point of success versus fail.
Okay, so first of all, allulose is a sweetener. Sugar is a sweetener. Allulose is a very rare form of sugar that our body processes differently. It is only about 70% as sweet as sugar. But allulose is a sweetener. Sugar is a sweetener. Soluble corn syrup or high fructose corn syrup is a sweetener. Soluble corn fiber is a sweetener. It can be used for other things, but it is a sweetener. Anything that makes something taste better is a sweetener. So you have dates. You have many companies, natural food products, health foods. They use dates to sweeten, and it will even say on the package, dates for sweetening. Allulose is a sweetener. It is a keto-friendly sweetener. Just like when you have artificial versus natural. Sucralose is technically an artificial sweetener because it is manufactured by changing chlorine with it. Whereas monk fruit is a natural sweetener. It comes from a plant and they just dry it. Stevia is a natural sweetener. Aspartame, artificial sweetener. So that's first of all, allulose is a sweetener. Second, so they're telling me that I need to research. I am researching. Allulose is a sweetener. The more important thing is the net versus total carb. And they're talking about how net is more sustainable. Of course, net is more sustainable because you can eat more. You can absolutely eat more stuff, especially processed products, when you consume net carbs. The problem with net carbs, and I will die on this hill, is that net carbs is a made-up thing. It was made by the food industry, actually Atkins. It was made by the food industry to sell us products.
It's effective.
Atkins had this great idea, eat less carbs. Brilliant. He didn't even develop it. I mean, it was developed in like 1918, something like that, for children with epilepsy. But he's like, let's turn this into a diet. Eat less carbs. The problem with Atkins is he reintroduced carbs.
That don't work.
Eat less carbs. That was his whole thing. Eat more meat. But now the problem is nobody's buying food. And here's the thing. Once he sold you the book, he couldn't make any more money.
So
what do you do?
Snacks.
Let's make you snacks. Let's make you food items to make it easier. But it's very difficult to make processed foods without adding carbohydrates. So what do? Oh, let's give you a way that you cannot count those carbohydrates, aka fiber and sugar. Now that is true. Fiber in plants and stuff, your body digests differently and won't really use it for fuel. But now we've got companies coming up with things like soluble corn fiber, calling things fiber that your body will at least partially use for fuel, like IMO, isomalto oligosaccharides. For years, they were able to label that as a fiber. Now they're back to, they just hide it under the name soluble corn fiber. Your body digests IMO, and it digested it, and it will spike your glucose. That defeats the purpose of eating a low carbohydrate diet. Then you have things like allulose. And even the government says you can't deduct allulose because it's not a sugar alcohol. You can deduct it because your body's processing it differently, but it's not a sugar alcohol. Or erythritol, xylitol, all those things. They say, well, your body doesn't digest it as fuel, so you can deduct it. Here's the problem, especially with baked goods, even something like this. Now, this doesn't use a lot of sweetener. It's using 1/4 cup of allulose over 12. Right? That's 3 tablespoons.
In a batch.
That's 12 teaspoons. So that means each one of these has 1 teaspoon of allulose. There's 4 carbs in a teaspoon of allulose. So if I go by, I can deduct those 4 carbs. Guess what? I'm eating all 12.
Yeah, in a sitting.
I'm going to eat all 12 in a sitting.
And they're that delicious.
But here's the problem. There's also fat in here. There's a decent amount of fat in here. There's other ingredients. And so what happens is when you are following a net carb protocol, which does help at the beginning. I started with net carbs, but eventually you have to make the switch and stop letting these food companies determine everything. We're not saying don't ever eat anything. Do what's sustainable, but have a cap. When you have that total carb cap of, I'm not going to eat more than 30 total carbs. Now I go, well, if this is 4, and it's actually more than 4, there's just 4 carbs of allulose in this. If I can only eat 1, I can only eat 2. But if I'm deducting everything, I'm going to eat 12. Well, you're not going to have the results you're looking for if you're going to eat an extra 100 grams of fat per day in sweets.
You're not going to have a shutoff valve for it. I mean,
you don't have a shutoff valve for anything sweet.
We were eating chicken wings yesterday, and I actually bought like too many chicken wings, as much as that's crazy, but I bought 2 containers. I thought there was only 15 in them, but there were 20 in each one. And I thought, ain't going to be no problem us eating 30 wings. We were not able to eat 30 wings yesterday. Like, we just weren't, because you hit a protein wall. You just hit a meat wall. There is no baked goods wall. You will plow through that wall like the Kool-Aid man, right? Like, there's
and if you look on the thumbnail, I specifically took the name off, but they're all the same.
Yeah.
0 net carb bread. They're trying to sell you something. When you look at the ingredient label, there's wheat in it. Wheat is inflammatory. Wheat that we have in the United States, it's horrible for you. It's not what our ancestors had. Now, the funny part is I'm not saying that if you're in Europe, eat a bunch of wheat. But the wheat in Europe is very different and doesn't affect us nearly what American wheat does. Mike Mutzel actually had a video about this, how like he was like shocked that his body did not have the same reaction where he tried a couple of wheat-based products when he was in Europe. But that's because a lot of the food that is legal here is completely illegal in Europe.
That's right.
That's got to say something, because the food industry and the drug companies and the insurance companies, they control everything in this country, and that they're controlling what you can eat. That's why we're starting a farm, because we're going to make it so that, hey, we get to control it ourselves. Yeah, I saw Shauna said, if my brain doesn't do math, my body certainly doesn't do net carb math.
That's right.
She also said, I made Michelle's flourless cake for my family barbecue birthday on yesterday. Everyone loved my keto dessert.
Oh, I'm actually going to be watching the baby tomorrow morning, so I'll make sure that I pass that information along. Shauna, she's going to be so tickled to have been a part of your celebration.
Okay, next one is from Lacey. Did you gain weight after stopping keto? We've never stopped keto.
Yeah.
We still do keto. We will always do keto. And we're not doing keto for weight loss. We do keto for mobility, for health, overall health, for brain health. Now, to answer your question, will you gain weight if you go off of keto? It depends on what you do when you go off of keto. If you are going to go back to the way you were eating before, I absolutely promise, I will put money on this. If you go back to eating the standard American diet with all the processed food and excess carbohydrates and eating regular sugar and all the potato chips and snacks and everything else, unless you slash your calories to nothing, but then you'll still gain weight. You will gain weight when you go off of keto. Now, if you lose all this weight on keto, and then you go back to a whole foods approach and maybe occasionally eat a fruit or a vegetable, or maybe, God forbid, even a French fry, you probably won't, so long as you're staying active. But if you go back to processed food, you'll gain weight. I promise you'll gain weight.
The wheels that got you into this parking space are going to be the wheels that get you out. So like if you go back to what you're eating, it's not just about the weight loss. Like if that's what you're thinking is, I want to be able to go back to the way I was eating and like maintain my weight. Even if you can maintain the weight, you're going back to inflammation. You're going back to skin issues. You're going back to migraines. You're going back to feeling sick. You're going back to after a meal, not feeling like you can get up and do anything the rest of the day. There's so much to go back to. It's not a matter of just holding on to the weight loss. If I think about going back to the way that I lived, I would be going back to brain health issues.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back to that. I don't want to go back to arthritis. I don't want to go back to joint pain. I don't want to go back to that. It's not just about the bathing suit. There's so much more.
Here's the thing. Keto is not a weight loss diet. Keto is a health optimization diet or a health optimization lifestyle that has a side effect of weight loss because it's a health optimization lifestyle. The standard American diet is not a human diet. It is a diet that is created by food companies to sell you food. That's why they have things like bliss points. They literally engineer foods to make you buy them. Anything on the standard American diet is not what we're supposed to eat. We're eating what our body is designed to eat. Mostly meat, a little bit of fruits and vegetables that are locally grown, and when they're in season. That's how we ate ancestrally.
Well, think about that for a second. As you're talking about that being manufactured, there's scientists creating our food, manipulating our brain, and feeding it to us like it's drugs. Yeah. And it's a drug that we are addicted to. It is a drug that has side effects to it. Like, I don't want to take up that prescription that what they're feeding us.
Next one is from Carrie.
Hey, Carrie.
I've been buying the omega-3 eggs from Costco. I find them delicious, but I know they're not pasture-raised, but likely fed flax seeds as a means of raising their omega-3s. Given pasture-raised eggs are not readily available to me, is this a good choice? I could not find it, but if I can't find it this week, and I'll post it on my networks if I can't find it, we will make one. But it's probably buried in a vlog, which is why I can't find it. We did an entire video on different types of eggs. Here's the thing. It's up to you, Carrie, and anybody else. You have different levels of eggs. You have pasture raised, then you have free range, then you have after. I think it might even be within beef, butter, bacon, eggs. So we'll probably just turn it into a video. So you have pasture raised, free range, cage free, organic, and then standard eggs. Those are pretty much your levels of eggs. I would eat standard eggs, maybe organic, and then skip all the way up to free range, to pasture raised. Don't bother with free range. Certainly don't bother with cage free. There's literally no difference in the quality between cage free,
just price,
and plain, except for the fact that the chickens aren't in a cage. They're still crammed, thousands of chickens in this house, and they never see the light of day. And they're actually given artificial light to make them lay more, because chickens aren't supposed to lay every day. You know, depending on the breed, they're only going to lay between 200 to 300 eggs per year, and different times of the year, different amounts of eggs. And so they give them constant light. They're basically torture the chickens. Sounds bad, I know.
It is bad.
So, but to force them to lay more eggs. Free range eggs the problem is it's a marketing scam. They have to give them access to the outside, but it doesn't mean that the chickens are actually going outside.
Yeah.
They cut a little tiny hole literally like this big in the side of a giant barn, and then give them a little 4 foot by 4 foot fenced-in area and say, look, they're free range because they have access to the outside. It doesn't mean they're all going outside. Pasture raisers were out wandering around, okay? They're out in the sunlight. They're eating the bugs. Even if they're within a big like outside cage, like where we live now, we're dealing with coyotes, hawks, panthers. We found out one of our neighbors has a pet alligator.
A pet alligator.
So our chickens are used to being true free range. Like they have nothing over them. Like, and so if a predator gets them, a predator gets them. And everyone's told us here, predators are going to get your chicken. So we're gonna have a big hen house with a giant screen, and then we'll move them around.
Cards.
But they will still be outside with the ability under the sun, and they're not cooped in a little cage, and they'll be eating bugs and worms and all of that stuff. So the omega-3 thing, if you're looking to increase omega-3s, just eat some fish or use fish oil. It's going to be marginally different. It's just a marketing term. Now, if you want to eat them, great, but it's really, I would go no higher than organic unless you're going to go all the way up to pasture raised. All the stuff in the middle is just marketing. There's no improvement in the quality of eggs. And if the yolks are a different color, it's because they're giving them things like marigolds and stuff to make you buy them. Next one is from C-Jack.
Hey, C-Jack, can you put LMNT or salty in the creamy? Please help.
So if you're talking about to make a slushy, no. Now, can you? Yes. Should you? No. You'll break the machine. It actually says right on the machine, do not use this for shaved ice and things like that. You'll burn out your machine. The only thing you could do is maybe put a packet of it in your keto chow ice cream or any kind of
like
ice cream.
Like a chocolate one or the caramel vibes or something if you were just trying to add.
No, you cannot make like a slushy with it. Again, we talked about it last week, and where they've actually Ninja's come out with a slushy maker, and that was our thing, was what if we could use Element or Salty and make slushies with their slushy maker? And as soon as you get it and you open it up, it says every mixture must contain sugar, and it was a lot. You had to have like a third of a cup of sugar per shake, which kind of like is scary.
It was a bummer.
Next one is from Rosie.
Hey, Rosie.
About the doc wanting to add carbs back. I also had the same when I was diagnosed as a diabetic. I reversed it, and the dietitian said I need to now start adding back carbs because she was concerned. No thanks. Everything shows I'm doing great now. Cancel the rest of my appointments, please.
It's true.
There is no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Okay. That also does not mean carbohydrates are poison. Okay. When I say carbohydrates are poison, eating a sweet potato when it's locally grown and in season and your body has gotten healthy is not going to kill you. It is not a poison. But if you're trying to reverse things like diabetes, it's probably not the time to be eating it. Is sugar a poison? Yes. In all the refined sugars you buy in the store, not only are they highly addictive, probably the most addictive substance on earth, but that's a poison to your body. But eating, a vegetable, eating some broccoli, not a poison to your body. But when it comes down to there's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. Does your body need a touch of glucose in its system at all times? Absolutely. But it can make it. It can create it through a process called gluconeogenesis, either from protein or from free fatty acids. So you don't need to consume the carbohydrates.
I love when you get this response, because this is not the first time we've heard this, where it's like, doctors are like, you just need to add some carbs back. How many? What are you telling me? You mean I need to completely reverse the way that I've been eating? Everything, all the measure of success that you've seen so far has been because I've eliminated those carbs. And now you're saying put back a little bit of what has inflamed you with no guidance as to what that means.
Yeah.
Are you saying that I need to add a side of broccoli at dinner at night? Or you're telling me I need to go buy another bag of Doritos.
Right. And that's the problem, is that people confuse
boundaries.
that.
Yeah.
Now, will some women specifically, maybe men too, but will some women possibly, once they get themselves to a certain metabolic state, benefit from eating like a sweet potato at certain types of their cycle? Well, people like Jonathan Shane and Dr. Mindy Peltz and Dr. Jamie Seaman have talked about this and say they find it beneficial. but that's not what they're surviving off of. They're still eating a mostly fat, very low carbohydrate diet. Dr. Berry has talked about the proper human diet is a low carb, and a low carb being under 100 total carbs.
That's a big umbrella.
And a whole foods diet, not a processed food diet. Now, where on that spectrum of 0 to 100 carbs, it depends on where you are metabolically. It depends on how screwed up are you, how much healing do you have to do. So some women may benefit. Listen, look in the Bible. We had a famine. They stored grains. Grains helped them to survive. It didn't say they were healthy.
And it doesn't say that they were happy about it.
Survive.
Right.
You can survive eating a carnivore diet. Does that mean that it is the healthiest way to eat? We don't know yet. I do know this. No society has ever been 100% carnivore. So we don't know, is it the optimal way to eat only meat? But we do know anything is better than the standard American diet. Eating a straight meat diet is always going to be
way better
than a standard American diet. But everybody's on a spectrum. You just have to find which spectrum is best for your body. Some people, like Dr. Sean Baker, thrive on eating carnivore. Some people don't thrive. Nisha's talked about it. She does not thrive on eating only meat. You have to find what's good for you.
It's not a moo-moo, and that is a good thing. We need to stop celebrating the moo-moo. Stop making everybody wear the same outfit.
Right.
Eat the same exact diet. It's not going to work, and you don't want that. You absolutely do not want to live that way.
We're late. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Next one is from Andy. It's my fault.
Hey, Andy.
Andy said, I haven't said it for a while. Joe and Rachel, you are a blessing in my life. May the Lord bless you in such a wonderful example. I agree about supporting local farmers. We buy beef locally, even though it is more expensive than Walmart. We know the family, and it blesses them.
It really does. And it's interesting to go to, because we are surrounded. We're in the middle of cattle country, truly. And so it's interesting to see, as we're driving down the road, I'm thinking to myself, I want to buy a cow from that farm, not that farm. Like, I'm looking at conditions, you know what I mean? Even how they treat animals. So I think about, it's nice, not only for the farmer, but for us as the consumer to be able to say, hey, even if I have to buy a share of a cow because I can't buy the whole cow right now, knowing where your food is coming from and the conditions in which it's living brings a lot of peace to my heart.
I love hearing the cows. We're the only piece of property where we live. So we have someone over that way, about 6 acres over that way. We have somebody across the street over there that has 6 to 10 acres, and we have somebody over there. We're the only property that doesn't have cows.
Right.
Everyone's got 2, 3, 4 cows, because if you have a couple of cows, then you get tax breaks and stuff. And so we'll look into that later. First we're starting with sheep. Their sheep are easier. But yeah, I mean, I want to support my neighbors, the local farmers. Next one is from Franny.
Hey, Franny.
I gave in 2 weeks ago after hearing that Keto Savage or Bronson, can't remember, drank a Coke Zero. I had one myself. It gave me a headache, but I had another later. This morning, I had one at the coffee shop, and all of my friends whom I've been talking to about bad sweeteners for 4 years gave me a hard time. One woman was so disappointed in me that I felt she can no longer trust me.
Wow.
I am disappointed in myself for losing her trust over not staying strong in my beliefs, not just keto.
Aww.
I want to be better than that. No more Coke Zeros or other questionable stuff for me. I let myself down. Okay, I'm going to let you handle this, but I want to mention one comment. We're not perfect.
No.
We're never going to be perfect. I do not want you to beat yourself up. And here's the thing. If that person has the audacity to say, I no longer trust you because you slipped, they're not a good friend.
It's really, and I know that's hard. Franny, first of all, please have grace for yourself. And if you enjoy something, that does not mean that you're a less than person. And I think about that a lot. Sometimes, even we've had conversations with people have, met us in person and have kind of admitted to me that they sometimes follow us and are looking for a aha moment where they would catch us. They'll watch us, even if I'm making my coffee at a conference, or we're eating something when we're out to dinner. They're looking to see if we are authentic. And if we have something that they think is not cool, they're looking to catch us in it. I actually had one woman run across the room one time to say aha to me, and then realize that what she thought she caught me doing, I was not doing. And I thought, gosh, that's disappointing. Not that I'm disappointed in myself or worried that like I'm not, making somebody proud, but I'm disappointed that there's somebody that's trying to catch me doing badly instead of cheering me on for all of the things that I've let go of.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
That's upsetting.
Here's the thing: if you don't want to have Coke Zeros or Diet Cokes
Then that's
because you
fine.
don't want them and you don't want to drink
Yeah.
that aspartame or whatever, that's great. But please don't do it for somebody else. Don't do it to make them be more inspired. They need to inspire themselves.
That's right.
You've had amazing accomplishments, and nobody is 100%. Anybody who tells you they eat perfectly, they're either A, lying, or B, they're just completely delusional, because
No.
nobody is eating perfect. Dr. Barry says he does not eat perfect. We're never going to be perfect. 90% is good enough. You can get everything in your diet absolutely perfect, but there's something around you, like Wi-Fi, that's going to affect your health. You're never going to be perfect. Do the best you can.
Absolutely.
And sorry, this is going to sound mean, but screw them.
I know. Well, the thing is that I think about, people that we've learned from in the space, and they've brought so much information and so much guidance into our mind. I think about like Dr. Baker comes to mind. We've learned so much from him. He's been such a blessing in this space. If I saw him eat a broccoli floret, am I like, well, that is it? Because the only reason why I feel like your medical advice is helpful is because I've only ever seen you eat meat. I've only ever seen you work out and do things perfectly. And if you eat a broccoli floret, then I have to discount every other thing that you've added to my life. Like, that would be a pretty cruddy person of me if I felt that way, right?
Last two. Next one's from Adriana.
Hey, Adriana.
Hello, friends. So excited you're finally getting your new home today. What do you think about pasteurized eggs from Costco? We kind of talked about eggs already.
Just buy the cheap
just
guys.
buy eggs. Just buy eggs. If you can afford pasture raised, buy pasture
Or the
raised.
free range. Yeah,
Now,
pasture raised.
If you can afford pasture raised, buy pasture raised.
Yeah.
If you can't afford them, just buy plain eggs. Organic is a good choice because organic means they're feeding them organic feed. That's the difference. They're giving them an organic, non-GMO feed. That's why I'm okay with organic. Next one is from Joyce.
Hey, Joyce.
Last one said, fall is coming on fast. What are your thoughts on the flu vaccines? Go check out Dr. Barry's Twitter. That's first of all. My opinion, we don't need them. First of all, the flu vaccines, they're guessing what is the one or two strains of the flu that is going to be popular or is going to flourish this year. Now, remember, we are not doctors, nurses, or health professionals. I'll tell you me, though, I will not get a flu vaccine.
Me neither.
Rachel will not get a flu vaccine. My mother, who was a physician, would not get flu vaccines, and they would try to force that stuff on her as a physician in the hospital. But I personally would not do it. And I'm not going to get on the whole vaccine thing and all that stuff. But again, our body has an amazing healing mechanism. Now, might some people benefit from it? Yes. I think it's small. Dr. Barry, again, talking about his sheep, talked about sheep prone to worms. One of the reasons they're prone to worms is because they will eat until they'll eat all the way down and eat the roots and everything in the grass. And they will eat where they poop. Most animals don't eat where they poop. They will, if they eat in this area and there's grass there, they will poop and continue to eat there if there's no other grass. So you have to move them. So a lot of people give their sheep worming medications or dewormers. Or, as Dr. Barry showed in the video, you can cut down a tree or just bring them over to those trees. And the ones who have worms
will worm
eat
themselves.
that tree, and it takes care of the worms.
Yeah, the tannins in the leaves.
Our bodies can fix itself. Things like, cold medicines, it makes you feel better, but it doesn't get rid of the cold. It just makes you feel better.
Well,
so me, I would not do the flu vaccine, but we don't want to get into a bunch of political stuff.
It's interesting too how I will suddenly, in the midst of a month, crave a certain whole food that I don't eat regularly. Right. I may want a salad out of nowhere that it's like, I don't normally eat this. And suddenly I'm like, I just want to eat this salad. I eat the salad. seems to settle the situation and I move on. And it's just interesting that and I'm not talking about I'm craving a donut. I'm talking about I'm craving a certain vegetables and I eat it and then it's just over.
Yeah.
So I think that we're a lot of times able to regulate ourselves. We need to answer that call. I'm not so indoctrinated that I'm not like, okay, well, when I feel like my body needs a little bit of like salad, I just say like, no, I'm sorry. I only ever eat meat and I cannot answer the call that my body is giving me.
Now, again, if you want to have a flu vaccine, that's fine.
Sure.
Like we said, we're not medical professionals. Telling you what I would do, I personally would never do it. And all the flu vaccine is going to do is help you with that one strain. It doesn't mean you're not going to get the flu. It means you're not going to get that strain. But there's like over 300 strains of the flu. And your mother is in here making sure to make a comment of, remember, Joe and Rachel are not medical professionals. Okay, so in the comments for a few minutes, Jody said, I found old notebooks where I wrote 1,200 calories times 10 times fat at the top, and I tracked my lean cuisines.
I can remember I did a lean cuisine diet.
Okay, so Shauna wants to know, have we met any of our neighbors yet?
We did.
We met some. There's a lot of people because evidently the old owners just didn't take care of the property. We're finding they were using almost an acre of it as a garbage dump that will eventually have
we're not on a popular farm. We're going to bring this thing back to life, and hopefully our neighbors.
There's been a lot of people driving past in their like UTVs and stuff like that going, oh, there's activity. And we met one neighbor a couple days ago. I was working on the side of the house in the evening and they were just driving around with their dogs and stuff. And so they're like, oh, we see activity. Things are looking good. You guys are cleaning up. And so we talked to them for a little while. And that's where we were talking about different animals and chickens and stuff. And he's like, we do have hawks and coyote, panthers, bobcats. He's like, we haven't seen any bears. I think bears are a little bit more northern. I mean, you can have them here, but they're more up by Orlando and stuff. But that's when he told us that the guy next to him has a giant pet gator that he got as a baby, and now it's a full-fledged giant gator. And he's like, one time it showed up in my pond and ate all my bullfrogs. And Rachel's like, yay, it ate all the bullfrogs. He's like, but I like bullfrogs.
Oh, sorry. Sorry about your bullfrogs.
But yeah, I think people are still like, at least things are happening. And you can see we are trying to clean it up. People have noticed, like, we're living in an RV on the property. We're not living in the house.
And the RV that was abandoned on the property earlier has been removed, along with like all of the non-working cars that were stored here and 5 loads of yard garbage. And we just continue to find more stuff that's just hidden. I think it's going to take years for us to make this the shining, lighthouse that we want it to be. But we're willing to put in that hard work. We've got to get the house finished first, though.
So Spirit Junkie said 100 carbs is toxic to me. I wish I could have more carbs, but I've had 1 coronary bypass surgery. No thanks to that dose that is toxic
for it.
For me. That's why
personal.
Everybody is specific. But again, when Dr. Berry says 100 total carbs, he's not talking about eating sugar. He's talking about the carbs that may come from vegetables and things like that. It is a whole food diet. Sugar is not a whole food.
Right.
So that's something that we have to remember. Eating a potato. I mean, listen, a sweet potato alone is 50 something carbs.
Yeah.
So let's see. Mom said, Joe, look at your and Rachel's guns.
Oh, yeah.
Working on a farm is having great
Look
results.
at that. I mean, we really are like starting to I'm starting to see the changes. And again, I am really glad that I've been working out, just kind of preparing for this time. And I do feel strong, and it's nice to feel strong.
Jennifer, oops, I skipped the step that someone in the community can organize a meetup. Jennifer does a great job.
Amazing job.
Yeah, Spirit Junkie said they supposedly add turmeric and marigolds to deepen the color of conventional egg yolks. Some of it is the sun. Like if you have actual your own pasture-raised eggs, it's the sun, but it's what they're eating.
Right.
But what they do is, again, we've talked about this before. There's a company that has eggs in the grocery stores. I will not give you the full name, but I will say it starts with Egg Best. And they actually advertise right on the package, 100% vegetarian fed chickens. Then they're not healthy.
That's not a proper chicken diet.
Chickens are not vegetarians. Chickens are omnivores, and they will eat anything, including you. Exposing Darkness said, I found a website called Local Hens Bought Farm Fresh Eggs.
Nice. So check that out. Maybe there's some, and Facebook groups too sometimes can be a good source for local stuff.
You'll be proud of me because I almost bought baby chicks the other day. Because right now we're at Tractor Supplies doing baby chick days.
Don't do that.
And like I keep now we don't care about roosters. And in fact, I love hearing the roosters all day from our neighbors. But so they've got a bunch of men, and I was there 3 times, and I'm living in Tractor Supply right now. The same guy came in 3 different times to buy more black Australorps. And but we have made the decision. We're pretty much going to move up here now. We have so much work to do.
So the chickie babies will be here
when
soon.
we get home from our cruise. We're pretty much just going to live in our RV. So most of our videos are going to come from here.
Sorry about that.
But so we're going to bring our chickens up here so that the boys don't have to take care of them. Tabitha is in her glory. I did bring Tabitha up without really discussing it with Rachel, but
we had some dissing and cussing later.
She is in her glory.
She is loving.
She is
her life.
loving swimming, running around, chasing things. She doesn't leave the property.
No.
She's actually more attached to us than ever. She walks around next to you like a guard dog. I mean, she's really has been amazing. But yeah, we're gonna bring our chickens up here, and I think they're gonna be. We're gonna move that one little. It was a play hut, and I'm gonna put a big fence thing around it so that the predators can't get them. But yeah, I did. If it wasn't for the fact we have so much traveling right now, I would have gotten some.
I know.
And they're cheap. John said, do you think a mixture of allulose and unsweetened cocoa and some water will make a Hershey's chocolate syrup-like substance? Yes, we've actually done it. I thought we did it on a video.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Ann, because of my heart stents, my cardiologist insists I take statins so that they don't clog.
You got to work with your doctor.
Yeah. Again, I personally wouldn't. That's just my opinion. I would check out some of the videos from Dr. Berry and Dr. Sivas. Denise said, agree, Joe's net carbs is okay to start with, but best to switch to total carbs.
It's also,
if you want to do net carbs where you're deducting the fiber from broccoli, have at it.
That's what I was going to say. If you want to do net carbs, then you better be doing a whole food approach. Whole food approach, you could still do net carbs if you want. But in today's marketplace, I think it's nigh on impossible to have long-term success if you are following a net carb protocol. Now, remember, if you're coming from standard American diet to even a net carb protocol, you're going to have still an overhaul of your life. So I understand you're going to have results. You're going to see results. When you go from standard American diet to anything that isn't standard American diet, you're going to have some results because that's how crappy and laden with carbohydrates the standard American diet is. That's why you see people are like, they start, they get off of standard American diet and have like a 7 or 10 pound whoosh of water and inflammation and just like all of the garbage that like leaves your body. But if you are going to leverage prepackaged food, if it's got a wrapper on it, then you're going to have a really hard time finding the fullness of success that you want following a net carb protocol, because you can't get into a time machine and go back 10 years to when there wasn't a ton of products that's trying for you to buy them.
Now, there are some exceptions like Keto Brick and Keto Chow and things like that, where they were made by people who are on the ketogenic diet to, help them. But even those owners, Chris Bear, Robert Sykes, will tell you this is to supplement your meat diet.
Right.
That in fact, years ago, when there was only one flavor of Keto Brick, it was mocha. We did
7 straight days,
1 week of only eating Keto Brick. And Robert, who we weren't even affiliates with him, because at the time, like you had to go refresh. Oh, they're gone, because he only made like
batches.
60 of them a month. He was like,
you're
that's
crazy.
Not how it was intended to be.
That's right.
It's supposed to help you along with the rest of your diet, give you that extra fat to be more self-sustainable.
It's helped this week.
Chris Bear will tell you Keto Chow is not designed to be your only source of nutrition. Can it be? Yes, but that is not what it's for, and is not how you should be using it. You should be using it like we are, for a meal, 2 meals. I'm too busy. I'm too tired right now.
I can't cook right now
to even put some eggs in a bowl and stick them in the
I
microwave.
can't do it.
That's where we're using Keto Chow,
Keto
except
Chow.
for the next 3 days.
That's right.
Christine said, can you please tell me the name of the doctor you mentioned that has a cash-only practice? Thank you.
Brian.
Dr. Brian Lenskis.
Yes.
He's in Arizona. I don't know if he's still in San Diego, but he also does a lot of telehealth.
He does telehealth, and he's part of the Low Carb Doctors like podcast. You could probably, if you go to Dr. Tro's website, you can find more doctors that are even, maybe closer to your area.
Patty, my mom is 98, healthy as a horse, and has a very high cholesterol, and she doesn't care.
And
Again,
she don't care.
People who live over 90 have very high cholesterols. I wonder why. Well, cholesterol protects the brain.
Well, yes. So think about this. If I have a medicine that is supposed to reduce your cholesterol, and I want to sell this medicine. In fact, I want everybody to be on my medicine because I want this medicine to make money every single place that I can. I want you to start my medicine really early in your life. How do you get that? How do you start that? Like, how does somebody need medicine? You start to make cholesterol super scary. I make sure that everybody's talking about like how bad cholesterol is and how terrible and like how you should be afraid of it. And anybody with cholesterol is just a ticking time bomb, so that you are going to use my cholesterol medicine and
Right.
I'm going to sell a lot of it and I'm going to get super mega ultra rich. Seems like that's what's happening in the pharmaceutical industry,
And
right?
let's not forget the entire standard American diet is based on a manufactured, is that the right word? A false study called the 7-country study from Ansel Keys, where he basically falsified the information to prove his point that didn't actually happen. Who is paying him? Why did he eliminate all the countries that disproved his theory?
Right.
If you don't know what it is he literally wanted to prove that fat causes heart disease. So he went around and studied what people ate all over the world. And when it didn't prove his theory, he eliminated every country where people who were eating excess fat didn't have heart disease, and resulted in 7 countries. And that is what the entire standard American diet is built off of.
It's a crap foundation, and that's why we've got such a wonky system.
And we know it was a falsified study, yet we still follow it.
Right.
That makes no sense.
You know why? Because we don't want to expend the energy that it's going to take to change things. We're like, oh my gosh, this closet's got to be cleaned out. If I just never even start it, then I don't have to do the hard work. Like,
so Donna Joe said, I was eating only 1,400 calories and I've been reversing, but it is hard. I'm just not hungry after the meet. I've worked up averaging 1,600, put on a few pounds, I think, because I'm not looking at the scale.
But you're not looking at the scale. That is awesome, because sometimes you have to put the scale to the side if you're trying to work on your body. I can guarantee you, if I get on the scale, I am going to weigh more than I did before these muscles were emerging. But I need this strength more than I need a certain number on the scale. The life that I want to live is not going to be dictated to me by a scale number.
Okay. I have one more. I just wanted to answer one thing though. Donna, I know you're not trying to gain weight, but you want to increase your metabolism and things like that. All you need to do is really increase the fat. You don't have to eat a lot more protein unless you're trying to do more muscle. Great way to increase 1 tablespoon, half a tablespoon, or 1 tablespoon of butter. I would start with a half a tablespoon. So if you're anybody who's trying to reverse, you want to increase slow, 50 calories per week, every week for 8 to 10 weeks. So that's a half a tablespoon of butter. That's not going to fill you up. If I add a half a tablespoon of butter to every meal or to my day this week, you're not going to notice that. If you put a half a tablespoon of butter on top of your steak, that's not going to fill you up anymore. And then next week, another half a tablespoon of butter. And so just increase, because it's not calories, it's the fuel, it's the fat. Protein is not really a fuel, it's a building block. You're really looking at the fuel, what can your body utilize? So you really want to be focusing on increasing that fat source. Okay, last one. Jennifer said the 500 calorie a day club got me into the 400 pound club.
Oh my gosh, I'm right there with you, Jennifer. Like totally, you're absolutely right. And it was like, what happens is you've got to pay for it later. There is no shortcut.
Pay now or pay later.
It's pay now or pay later. But the paying later crushes your soul, because what happens is that you've experienced like this success and you're like, yay. And then I know what's going to come next. I'm going to gain it back. That is what really crushes your soul when it comes to that, like gain, lose, gain, lose. If you lose really fast, that's awesome. And you get to the top of this ride, and that's really fun up there when you're like, hey, look at all of this weight that I've lost. But when you come back around and you gain it again, and every single day, no matter how much you restrict, you see that you're losing ground.
Yep.
It's so disheartening.
Okay, we're going to get off. Thank you so much for joining us. Reminder, we're going to try to do this week's live stream on Wednesday.
Yes.
Not Thursday. Wednesday. We're going to try our hardest. We're going to be going home on Wednesday, so I'm hoping that we get home in time to do the live stream. Just make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the bell notification, look in Mighty Networks, members at twoCrazyKetos.com, but we will not be doing it on Thursday. If we do it, it will be Wednesday. 99% chance we'll be doing it Wednesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time.
We love
Have a
you
great
guys.
night. Bye.